Before getting into the topic of the subject, it is important to specify that what is stated in the video is not directed against advertising intended as a means of promotion and sustenance for all those entities that produce multimedia content. Having free use of a service means not paying anything to the person or persons who provide it. Therefore, it is up to those who create the aforementioned content to find the necessary funds also through other channels, including commercials. Since the interest that the user can develop for a specific multimedia topic is also optional, the excessive presence of persistent commercials in the relationship between user and supplier can cause a form of rejection of the entire multimedia message with consequent harm for all interested parties. At this point, a question arises. Does it still make sense to do audiovisual advertising? I asked this question to a series of advertisers who subscribe to and commission advertising messages on social media and television. As a former communications professional, I realized that a curious metamorphosis has occurred in the advertising field. From promotional messages to enhance the qualities of a product, commercials and multimedia messages have changed into real tolls that are placed between the user's desire to follow a topic and the possibility of doing so in complete tranquility. How many people read a news story, follow an audio-visual program on the web or on TV, and are inundated with a myriad of ads that interpose themselves like annoying ticks between the topic you are following and the attention you pay to it? This is a phenomenon that is taking on aspects comparable to those of a chronic disease. And if what I say is supported by a large part of the public that uses these means to document themselves, one wonders what convenience there is for advertisers who finance this way of doing propaganda. Personally, I have been making purchases for a long time, avoiding choosing brands that invest more heavily in advertising than any other. And the reason is very simple. If as a company I am more interested in sales volume, how much attention am I willing to dedicate to the safety and quality of my products? The answer is inherent in the question, because if it were not so, niche markets would not exist. Of course, someone will say that being there is important. Whether they speak well or badly about it does not matter. What matters is that they speak about it. This kind of evaluation holds up as long as the user decides to watch a promotional message. But when the message takes on the contours of a duty, because it is based on the assumption, "Are you interested in my content?" then you have to suffer the presence of the commercials that support my dissemination. At this point, the story takes on oppressive and imposing contours. If we were to evaluate the issue with the eyes of a revived Karl Marx, we could say that a new discriminant has been born that sees the proletariat of users who cannot afford to enjoy a vision free from commercials, opposed to a neo-bourgeoisie that makes commodities the discriminating status. Secondly, it is good not to forget that the need to disseminate is that of those who have it. Therefore, it is not understood why those who intend to communicate to other people about topics that they consider interesting, whether it is politics, science, culture, or any other genre, condescend to the excessive intrusion of these commercials. It is obvious a YouTuber who has chosen to live off this profession must spend a lot of time to create the content that it wants to convey, and most of the time the subscription to the channel and donations do not cover the expenses incurred. But it is also true that communication on multimedia platforms has grown to the point of becoming a jungle in which the laws of the strongest dictate the rules and guarantee selection. Therefore, we who occasionally stick our noses into the foliage of this jungle cannot understand why we have to see our interest assailed by a swarm of annoying parasites. Yes, it is exactly like this. The repetitiveness, invasiveness, and frequency of these spots are comparable to parasites that risk generating the opposite effect, transforming interest into a repulsion aimed at nullifying the investment of the advertiser who, like a mosquito in the swarm of its peers, can easily be squashed even if equipped with a solid and captivating message. Moreover, their pedantic intrusiveness triggers aggressive behavior in people who see their ability to decide frustrated and not finding interlocutors to oppose. They end up venting their discomfort in interpersonal relationships. At this point, it is clear that advertising managed with these methods more than anything, is a punishment, a real punishment, which does not help to promote the image of the company that proposes it, but creates rejection and frustration. To conclude, we must realize that over the course of this last century, mental effort and commitment has grown significantly, and if there is no structural adaptation of the human brain to the growing load of information, humanity will be condemned to annihilation, resulting from the cognitive loss between what is real and what is not. It is therefore necessary to prepare a new system for communicating, not so much in terms of rules that already overflow, but characterized by more proactive and less imposing aspects. A system that gives the user back the ability to decide what he or she is most interested in watching.